There we
Hi,
go.
everybody. We're on time today. I'll tell you what, it's taking just a little bit of time for us to get used to StreamYard, or for me to get used to StreamYard. I think that Brent's got it together. So let's start off by, let's find out where people are from here. Let's take a look at where
we got?
Folks are in the world. So right now, I'm going to go to the top of the stream here, and we have Elaine from Nevada. Hey, Elaine, how you doing?
Yeah, we've got quite a few people.
Let's show
Already.
Elaine real quick.
Ohio, Canada, woo, Dallas.
We've got Crazy Train on board. He's from the UK. All right.
Oh,
you're up kind of late. Who else do we have? Who else do we have here?
Oh,
hey, Felipe. Boston. We got Felipe from California. Who's from Boston? Somebody from Ohio you mentioned. Who do we have from Boston?
Mary Ellen from Boston.
Okay, Mary Ellen.
Detroit, Next. Illinois. Salt Lake City.
From Ohio. Now, are you a Browns fan? Or are you a Cincinnati Bengals fan? My guess is you're probably a Buckeyes fan, okay?
Yeah, probably.
Go Bucks. That's what I have to say about that. We have Pete from Canada. You want to name a few more? Who else? Where are folks from?
Santa Rosa. We got St. Louis. Patrick from St. Louis.
Okay.
We have Chicago. Ooh, we got a couple people from Ireland. Sean.
Oh, okay, let me see if I can. You know, folks, the stream is moving really quick, and I'm trying really hard to get people on the board.
We got Temple, Texas. We have Laguna Beach. We have Kansas City.
All right.
Amos yells out Steelers.
Who said Steelers?
Amos.
Oh, I'm not for that, because I am a Browns fan. And I shouldn't even be admitting that.
Yeah, well, you must be one of those diehard Browns fans, you know.
Hey, listen, let me tell you something, Brent. Just because I live in Seattle, I like the Seahawks. I follow the Seahawks, but you never give up the home team. And I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, and I grew up with the Browns. So, I mean, I'm not going to kick them to the curb. I'm a true blue fan.
They are some of the most diehard fans out there. Because,
there you go.
For the amount of losing that they do, the fact that they still have very dedicated fans is a testimony to them.
It is. And we're good people, too. Browns fans are good people. Hi, John from the UK. Thanks for joining us. So we'll take a couple more folks. Again, folks, just chime in. Tell us where you're from. We'll put you on the screen. And then we're going to move on to the happy hour specials.
Yeah.
Oklahoma. You know, whenever I see somebody from Oklahoma, I just want to sing that song from the musical.
Oklahoma. Are you going to start singing for us, Leah? Are you going to start singing for us in front of all your fans?
No, I'm not going to do that. I won't put people through that. Okay, so we'll take one more, and it will be somebody from Orange Park, Florida. I love Florida. Let me tell you that. In fact, today's guest is from Florida, Paul Peck. He's going to be joining us in 5 minutes, and we're going to be taking questions about painting and all like that. So first, let me just say this. Let me say we're going to take your questions in a little bit and hashtag them. Hashtag Seejanedrill, and then ask your question. And the reason I say that is because it'll make it easier for me to identify questions just from talk in the room. Okay, so make certain you hashtag first. So let's do a little house cleaning here, Brent, with who was last week's winner with the happy hour special.
Woo! The happy hour special. Drum roll, please, of course. So with hopefully all of you were tuned in with us last week. If not, no worries. But last week we had Chad from Mancrafting, and he does a lot of welding, a lot of powder coating, really unique manufacturing. And because of that, we decided to have a nice fun giveaway with a welding mask and gloves, because obviously when you're welding, you have to make sure you're protecting your eyes and your hands at all times.
Okay.
So the winner of last week's drawing was Stephen Michael. Stephen Michael, please stand up. Oh, wait, you can't, but hopefully you can at home. Please email me at byotools@gmail.com. And then we'll get your address. We'll make sure and send it out to you. If not, I'll try and reach out to you as well. But if you can reach out to me personally right away, that would be perfect. And we will send out your gift. But no worries if you did not win, because we have a few fun gifts for multiple winners this week.
We do, and it's all thanks to Paul Peck, our guest, who's going to be taking painting questions and drywall questions and skim coating questions. And he's the inventor of a knockdown texture sponge. And that's today's happy hour special. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But you know what I want to say, Brent, before we bring Paul on? Oh, yes. Folks, you know what? Let me do this. Let me mention to you, like I said, Paul Peck is today's guest. The rest of the month, we have Jimmy DiResta, and we have also John Peters. I know. You know, I am so thankful for
mind blown.
The YouTubers that have really shown up, like Paul Peck. I called Paul. I said, hey, Paul, can you be on? He said, absolutely, Leah. Then I got on the phone and I called Jimmy DiResta. I said, Jimmy, can you do me a favor? Can you be on the live stream? He said, no problem, Leah. And John Peters did the same. So those are all going to be wonderful, wonderful live streams that you need to join.
Gotta love the YouTube community.
You know what I want to say to you before we just jump into questions real quick? And I want to throw this out to the people on the live stream as well. Ever since there's been this lockdown, the stay in place, Brent, I've been like eating like crazy, man. Stuff that I would have never thought about eating in the past.
We're in hibernation mode.
That's what I was saying to you, like before the live stream. Like I felt like a bear coming out of hibernation. What about you folks? What kind of stuff? Are you guys doing the same thing out there? You guys find yourself eating and eating?
I spent almost $400 at Trader Joe's, and you know how much you can get for $400 at Trader Joe's? It's ridiculous.
Oh, you're right. You can, because Trader Joe's is kind of inexpensive.
Yeah. I have a pregnant wife at home, and I need to make sure she has all of her snacks, no matter what.
Wait a second. Come on, man. Now, is it just for Hillary, or are you?
Trust me, I'm the one with the sweet tooth. I'm the one with the sweet tooth. Hand up.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. I'm not the only one I'm not alone here with what people are saying they're eating. Folks are chiming in, they're eating as well. So let's do this. Let's bring our buddy Paul Peck on, and we're going to get started pretty soon with the questions. So let's have Paul join the stream. Let me get you.
There he is.
Hey, Paul, how you doing, man?
Great, Leah. How you doing?
Thanks so much, man. I got to tell you, I really appreciate it. I was trying to tell, the folks out here that are listening that I called you up. I said, man, can you help me out with the live stream? You said, no problem. And I will tell you that YouTubers, we are some of the best people in the world. There are a lot of good people out there. And let me just do a quick shout out to our nurses and doctors and first responders. I just want to say thank you so very much for what you're doing. Okay. So Paul, it's great to have you here. We're going to be taking questions. Paul, tell me about this knockdown sponge that is going to be the happy hour special today.
Okay. It's a great little tool for matching, say, knockdown on small repairs, whether it's ceiling repairs, wall repairs. And it's actually better than trying to do it with a hopper or texture, any kind of texture gun, because you can blend it and feather it out a lot better than trying to spray it out of a hopper, because you tend to pile it up a little bit when you spray out of a hopper and try and get the repair, and then it just piles up around it and you see the repair forever. So I've been doing this. Yes.
Paul, I watched the video. It seemed really simplistic to use, and I love the ease of it. Very DIY friendly. So, and you came up with this?
Yeah, I actually had been using it for years and years to match textures on small stuff. And then I'd put a video out probably 2014 and it ended up blowing up. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try and make this happen. And so I got a trademark, I got a patent, working on a design patent, and I'm selling it online, and it's going really good. Actually,
awesome.
It's paying my bills right now during this pandemic. So I can't complain. Yeah.
That's great, Paul.
Yeah.
We're going to place a link in the description below the video so you can check out how this tool is used. Oh, okay. He's brought a sample.
There we go. Perfect.
So you know what it looks like, and we're going to be giving away 2, right, Paul? Is that right? For the happy hour?
I thought we were giving away 3.
We are giving away 3, folks,
Bam.
for the happy hour special, okay? All
and
right.
A sticker.
So
there we go. There we go.
Okay. So, folks, we're going to open it up to questions. And like I said before, do the hashtag before the question. That way I can distinguish between questions and just people talking in the room. Now, I did see a question here for you, Brent. So let's
already for me.
Let's bring it
Brent.
up here. So, Brent, that artwork behind you, please, who is the artist?
Well, this beautiful piece right here. So there is a bit of backstory, and unfortunately I don't have the name of the artist, but it is a fun backstory because my wife and I, this was our honeymoon, and every time we go on a large trip, we always try and take something back that's more artistic based. And this piece was, we went to Thailand for a honeymoon. And we went, the last place we stopped at, it was in Chiang Mai. And Chiang Mai was incredible. I don't know if anyone has ever been here with us. People that are listening, please let me know if you have been, because it's incredible. And some of the best parts about it was that they had these amazing night markets. And they had some incredible artists. Like, some of the best artists I've ever seen in my entire life were just at these small little stands, side markets in Chiang Mai. And this was the one artist that we just fell in love with. And I literally walked by this painting and I was thinking about buying it, but didn't. And then by the next day, I was like, we have to go back, So I inevitably went back, got the painting, and never regretted it ever since.
Well, it really gets your attention. It does.
Right.
Okay, Paul, I got a question coming your way.
Bring it.
It says, do you think it's better to drywall over a swirled pattern plaster ceiling or just scrape it flat?
I wouldn't do either one of those. If it's an old plaster ceiling, there's a potential for either lead paint or asbestos in the joint compound or plaster that they used back in the day. Drywalling over it might be a little overkill. I'd skim coat over it is what I would do. Just do a quick skim coat over it. Save the money, save the time, because you also, if there's any light fixtures or boxes, you would have to use some mud rings to bring the box down to be flush with the drywall. And then you also have the corners around the whole room to contend with after you put the drywall up. So it turns into a big project that way.
You're absolutely right. And when it's a plaster ceiling, you got to be concerned about the weight too. You know, plaster is really, really heavy. And then you're going to double up on that with a veneer. That's a lot of weight for a ceiling to be carrying. So,
and they used little teeny headed nails back then too. You ever see those? They're dimpled.
Blues. Yeah, those little blues.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So that tends to sag a ceiling over time, especially with more weight.
Yep.
All right, let's see what we have here. Love learning from you, Leah and Paul Peck. Just got through patching holes in my ceiling. How do you mask those nice smooth spots? I have to match the less than perfect ceiling by it.
I'd say try and match the less perfect ceiling instead of going perfectly smooth, depending on how less perfect the ceiling is.
You know what I want to say? A lot of times when we're patching walls or we're patching the ceiling in our home, our eyes go right to the imperfections because we know where those imperfections are. But I can almost guarantee it, unless it's a really awful job, okay? Chances are you're the only one that's going to notice it. because
Yeah.
you know where to you know where to look.
You know what? A lot of times you see a patch because it's flashing. It needs, what happens when you do a patch and the wall's been painted 10 times over the years, and then you do a patch, the joint compound on the patch absorbs the paint faster, and it keeps piling up around it on the existing. So what you want to do is use kind of a heavy duty oil-based primer like Kills or something to really seal that patch up, and just keep it on the joint compound. Don't even try and take it any further. Is my tip. Spot prime is what I call it.
I agree with you about flashing. People forget about flashing, or they don't know about flashing, but the porosity is different between an existing wall and a patch, just like you said, Paul. Good point. Okay, here's our next question. Popcorn ceiling in the garage of an older home is falling off in patches. I'm selling the house.
Boy.
Best fix idea.
I wouldn't disturb it depending on the age. Anything before 1982, I would not scrape without testing it. And there's online test kits. You just pay the money, get a Ziploc bag, scrape a little in it, and send it off. You get the result in like 48 hours once they get it. That's what I would do. And if it's not asbestos, I just scrape it off since it's falling off.
It's easy to scrape off a popcorn ceiling, right, Paul?
Yeah, as long as it hasn't been painted.
It's just, if it hasn't been painted, it's just messy. And, I did a popcorn ceiling not too long ago, and it's an easy process to get that stuff tested. Just like you said, it doesn't cost a whole lot of money, and it just takes a couple days.
Well, real quick on that note, Leah, so Paul, just out of curiosity, so if it is asbestos, what would you suggest?
Well, you'd either need to get a abatement.
Because, let's just go into the impression of it's coming off no matter what. What would be the proper steps to take if it's asbestos?
Well, if it's asbestos, you can encapsulate it with an oil-based primer first. You'd have to spray it though, because if it's coming off, it's going to continue to fall off. Yeah. The oil base will tend to lock it down better than a latex primer. Okay. But there's no guarantees that it might kind of bubble in some areas. I just don't know why it's failing. If there was water or just the heat, because a lot of times the garage, when you pull your car in there, it cooks the ceiling, over time. The car's hot, summer's hot, it's hot in the attic. And so that stuff just fails over time. So it's just one of those things you kind of have to take a look at a little deeper once you know if you're messing with anything hazardous.
Hey, listen, I do want to mention this too, and this is really important about that last question about popcorn ceiling. If you're trying to sell your home and you do have it tested and you find out it does have asbestos in it, then you have to share that information with the homeowner. So maybe it may be best just to encapsulate it and just forget about.
Or get a bid for someone to just repair those areas and hope for the best.
That too.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. Our next question has to do with a powder actuated nail gun. Let me just see if I understand the question first. I have been using a powder actuated nail gun, and the casing broke off inside of the nail gun. What do I do? The casing of the load? I'm not certain I understand the question. The casing of the load broke off inside the gun? I love those guns, by the way.
I do too.
They make quick work of, framing in difficult areas like,
We use them for metal framing all the time.
I'm just not quite understand their question. The casing broke off inside of the gun. Can you tell us?
Like the bullet casing.
Well, that's what the load casing. Yeah. But I'm trying to figure out where it would, that casing is on a round dial that fits right on, generally on the back side of the gun. And so I'm not certain how that would, this is my suggestion to you, okay? I suggest that you contact a technical support of the company that made that particular powder actuated tool and ask them. Because the guns are a little different. Some are single load. I don't know if you have a single load gun or if you have a multi-load tool. It's going to make a difference, and that is my best recommendation to you. Okay, let's see what we have here. Our next question is, can you clean the texture sponge and use it for future jobs, or is it better to use a new one after each job?
Yep, you can clean it and probably get a dozen jobs out of it. As long as some people use them for big patches, which is a little labor intensive, but you might wear it out on a big patch, but they last for a long time if you just clean them and take care of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, let me ask you, Paul, is that a natural sponge or is a manufactured sponge?
It's a synthetic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's very similar to a natural sponge. It has the porosity of a synthetic sponge or a natural sponge, and then it has the holes for the knockdown texture.
Okay. Okay, so our next question is, what is the most accurate tape measure? Well, Brent, what say you?
You know what? I just recently did a video on garage organization with my wall control system, where I just have a perfect layout for all of my tools now. We'll see how long it lasts, but inevitably I have a perfect spot for all of my tape measures, and I don't know where they all came from, but I have like 15 tape measures all over the place. And in all honesty, I can't really say which one's the best one, but inevitably I do love just the good old standard Stanley tape measure. It's durable, it lasts. It's the fat version where you can actually extend it out very far compared to the older version that's more silver based. There's a yellow black version that I like that is the fat version, and it's always done well by me. I do have a laser version as well.
What do you think about those laser tape measures? What do you think?
You know, they aren't always accurate, so you do have to give and take the the quarter inch here or there, or the eighth of an inch. But it is very, very handy when you are dealing with large areas. Especially if you're trying to just deal with a ceiling height that's very tall in certain locations or across a room. They come in extremely handy, and you just have to abide by the fact that, okay, it might be an eighth of an inch off here or there.
I think I must be old school because I don't like those. I want a regular. I just want a regular tape measure. I trust.
I have a tip. I have a tip for tape measure. Okay, I'm sure you guys do this anyways, but when they talk about accuracy for a tape measure, you're going to be off a 32nd to a 16th just from if the clip gets bent or anything. So what you want to do is take it to the 1 inch mark where the exact line is, and then measure from that, and then add an inch to whatever your measurement is to get a right on measurement is what I do.
Yeah. That's a great tip.
I think it is as well. Okay, here we go. Paul,
let's do it.
Our question is, I'm going to do a skim coat on my drywall that has been up for a long time, and it's not hung very well. It is a lot of seams and edges that are not great. Any tips? Which tape is better?
Are they cracking or falling out? Because I guess if you start taping over the existing tape, you're going to start making bulges. So I think for repairs, FiberFuse matte tape. It's a newer product, 5 or 6 years old, but I love that tape because it sits super flat and it bonds with the joint compound way better than any other tape that I've found. So I got a couple of videos on that on my channel.
You know what? I've noticed that you've mentioned that FiberFuse before. I haven't had an opportunity to use it, but I want to give it a try.
Yeah, Lowe's. I know Lowe's carries it, so it's pretty accessible for DIYers or yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll try it. I've never tried it either.
Yeah, I definitely would. It's a little itchy. It's a little itchy. It's like a fiberglass mat and not a mesh. So there is a difference between the fiberglass tape and the FiberFuse tape.
I'm going to give it a shot and see what's up with
that.
I've been curious about it. Okay, so we have another question here, but before we take any more questions, I just want to remind people that if you're just now joining us, folks, do a hashtag before your question, because it'll make it easier for me to distinguish between questions and just chat in the room. It just makes it easier for me to find you. So if I've missed your question, know that it isn't, it's because I just didn't see it in the feed, okay? So our next question is, what's your opinion about putting wainscot or beadboard in a bathroom? Will mold grow behind it? Well, what I will say is that I've used it in bathrooms before, and I've never had an issue. However, you bring up a good point. I guess under certain conditions, you might have an issue with either one, but it's such a good look. So I can see a desire to want to put it in the bathroom.
I'd paint it with a semi-gloss or gloss paint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've also installed it in my own bathroom, and I've never had any issues with it as far as mold goes. So I think if you have issues with mold, it's not because of the wainscoting. It's probably because of other factors.
It's a nice look too. I got to tell you, it's a very nice traditional look. Okay, let's see what we have here, folks. Patrick said, look up wood conditioner for stain. There is one type for latex and water. Oh, I guess that's not a question. Sorry about that, folks.
Just a nice helpful tip. Just another individual just looking out for us.
And that is, that's the one thing that I appreciate about our community. Everybody here helps everyone else. So it's all a good thing. And I brought up the same one again. I'm so sorry about that.
You're doing great.
Okay, so I have a room with wallpaper that was primed with Kills oil-based primer and painted over once. I want to paint it again. Is it okay to do that?
Yeah, if it's been painted already, what the heck?
Yeah. I guess. Well, how do you? I just wonder if it's blistering at all. Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be the main concern. Obviously, is if it's blistering or if it's tearing off at all. But if it's on there and it's stable, then yeah, I don't see an issue with just painting right over it.
Hey, they've got that new product too that I love. For issues that with difficult surfaces, man, it's not coming to mind for some reason. Guards. I love that product.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I've had a lot of success. Well, we have a painter here and a drywaller. He knows this stuff, man. All I had to do was just kind of mention it. He knew exactly what I was talking about. Okay. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. And again, hashtag before, folks, so that I can distinguish, and that's not one. Sorry. I'm so sorry that I'm just... Here we go. What's the best paint to use on MDF? Cheers.
That is interesting. Paul, you have a thought on that one?
What's that?
I just asked Paul, do you have a thought on that one?
My question would be, is it raw or has it already been painted?
I'd say, based on his question, I'd say, let's just say it's raw.
I tell you the truth, I really don't know the answer to this one. What is the best paint? I'm not certain what the best paint is for MDF.
Yeah, you'd need a primer first if it's raw, but it's hard to say.
Hey, listen, let me ask you, Paul, have you ever used paints of fine paints of Europe?
Yes, I have.
I love that paint. What do you think? Honestly,
it's good stuff.
It's like $150 a gallon.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's a tough sale. Yeah, that's special request stuff right there.
It's reverse engineered is what it is to create just a superior product. And I know a lot of people are probably saying right now, are you kidding me, Leah? $150 for a gallon, and it's not even it's not an American gallon. It's a European. I don't think Europeans. It's not gallons. It's liters. But
so what are they put instead of lead? Are they putting gold in it?
Hey, listen, man. I gotta tell you, Brent. You're laughing, but this fine paints of Europe when you use it,
I wrote it down. I got to check it out
that
now.
you are using a quality paint. It is unreal. I love it. I don't, you have to really pick and choose where you're going to use it though, because it is like painting with gold. You're right about that, man.
You're like, I need another gallon. They're like, no.
It can be very pricey, but I think it's outstanding paint. So let's see what else we have here, folks. And remember to use that hashtag so I can see you right away. And it looks like we've got somebody right here. What's your favorite color in a bedroom? Hey, you know what? We can throw that question out to everybody. Brent, what say you?
You know, for a bedroom specifically, that is a good question. There's, of course, you know, there's so many different parameters. Personally, our master bedroom, we actually have a two-tone combo, which is really nice. We have a really dark, rich navy blue on two walls. And then on the other two walls, I have a white, just a plain white on both walls, which kind of complements both sides, which is really nice.
So like a double accent wall. Hey, Paul, you're painting a lot of bedrooms. So what do you find is the typical color that people request? Because it's a personal thing. It's such a personal thing.
My go-to is a color. It's called Metro Gray. It's a light gray by Richards Paint. And it goes with everything. You know, you get some white trim and a Metro Gray, and it looks good. Other people like to do a kind of a taupe off-white color just to give it a contrast to the ceiling and the baseboards and trim. So those are usually the two.
I think it is real personal, you know, what people think. I'm sure that there are people that have painted their rooms hot pink, you know, me.
Pepto-Bismol pink.
Yeah, I could never sleep in a room like that. That would keep me up at night.
Yeah.
My bedroom, believe it or not, and folks are going to say, oh my goodness, no way, is army green. That's the color of my room. But
my favorite color.
I feel like I'm in nature, and
I have to admit, since we're talking about paint and painting rooms, is I have painted my entire family room. It was neon pink and green. And
neon pink and green.
Yes. Let's just say it was for a fun party, and it was a while ago when Brent was a little bit more wild, and I was not married at that point, so we had a good time. Let's just say that.
You know what? I got a paint story to tell. I got one to share. I painted my living room Starbucks colors. My ceiling was plum, so it was like a deep purple. The walls were red, and the trim was white. And I did it right before Thanksgiving a few years ago, okay? You felt like you were in a Starbucks, you know, and I figured Starbucks had paid a lot of money to have an interior decorator come in and design the colors for, you know, that would be very soothing because people are drinking a lot of coffee, you know? And I figured, well, you know, I think I'll do that in my house. And I painted those colors. I used Starbucks colors in my living room. And I had a Thanksgiving party and people wouldn't leave. And they kept saying, it just feels so comfortable here. And I even had a couple guests like spend the night. And finally I had to just say, you know, folks, really, you got to go home. You got to go home. So I guess those Starbucks colors really do work, you know? Okay.
That's great.
So our next question comes from Pixel Kitty, and she wants to know, I'm going to texture over plaster. Are corners a problem? Any advice? Ceiling is drywall and lighting fixtures not installed yet. Okay, to use latex or Kills oil-based. What do you think?
The corners shouldn't be a problem. As far as you can paint over Kills oil base with the latex. That's what it's made for. I mean, you could do an oil paint too, but latex is fine over that. Yeah. As far as plaster, I always like to use for primer like a plaster weld or guards, because that plaster can do something that's called effervescence, where it starts to bubble up. So latex a lot of times doesn't play nice with plaster, but The kills might work too with that. Just wanted to throw the other stuff out there.
I agree with you about that effervescence. The salt's coming from the plaster and surfacing. And can I just say this about she asked about the angles, and I guess she was wondering whether or not joint compound's going to get in the angles. They are, but you just take a damp brush and clean those angles out. The corners.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next question is preparing to use your guards tip to seal damaged drywall before skim coating and then painting. What roller nap size do you recommend using for guards? Thanks.
I'd say probably a 1/2 inch or a 3/8 because the guards is like water almost. So you don't want to load your roller nap up too much. You'll get the feel for it the first time you dip it and go on the wall because it goes a long ways because it's so watery.
Okay. Mary wants to know, she says, I need a paint to use on raw backer board. I make mosaic art on it, so I just need to paint the edges and back that are not covered with the grout. A paint for indoor, outdoor, thanks. That's an interesting question.
I would say it's a latex primer called Zinsser 123. That's my go-to latex primer for paints for me. That's what I like.
Yeah, I've used that. That has done wonders on multiple projects, especially I think I've used it on areas which there was actually some smoke smell that we were trying to cover up as well, and it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Okay, folks, our next question, Paul, is this person is planning to take out their medicine cabinet. How can I fill in that hole?
Okay. Well, usually when they put in a medicine cabinets, it's already framed out for the medicine cabinet. So you should be able just to, once you remove the medicine cabinet, if there isn't enough space to go halfway over the stud, you can just add more studs inside of it and attach it that way.
And just can sister those out. Yep.
Yeah. So either way, it's pretty simple to do that one.
I agree with you, Paul. And it'll be an easy project. Don't feel intimidated by it because it's going to be really easy.
Paul, since we have you real quick, what do you think of the texture spray guns? The little
the cans?
Yeah.
I don't like the knockdown one or the popcorn one, but I do like the orange peel one for small stuff. I like the oil-based one though because it don't smudge away when you paint it or do anything. You can kind of paint over it and it doesn't just go away like
it dries a lot faster too. I think the oil-based one does. It
just has an odor to it, so you want to ventilate the room. Wear your PPEs like glasses, safety glasses or goggles, and a respirator whenever you're messing with oil-based products for sure.
Good note.
Yes, or you might get a little lightheaded.
Okay.
Yeah.
So our next question is, can a person tell by specific characteristics of a paint whether a gallon of paint has been damaged by heat or cold and will be a complete disaster if I try to use it? My guess is they have some paint that they're not certain about.
Yeah, if it seems like it's coagulated a good amount, either there's chunks in it when you go to stir it, or you can't even get the heavy bodies that are down at the bottom of the can to even move, it's probably too old. But you can still try, even if there's some chunks in it. I've had to deal with that before. And what you can do is you stir it up the best you can, or get a paint mixer you put on your cordless drill, mix it up, and then get another either 1 gallon can or a 5 gallon bucket and use a paint strainer and pour your paint through the paint strainer to get all the chunks out, because you don't want to roll a bunch of chunks on your wall because then it's going to be hideous. So that's what I would do. And it usually has a smell to it. If it's rotted on you, it'll just have a foul smell and you'll know for sure.
I'll tell you, I think there are a lot of people right now who are stuck at home and folks are painting. Because, of course, it's becoming the season to paint outside as well.
Right.
The weather is warming up, and a lot of people are thinking, well, as long as I'm at home, maybe I should address the house and paint the exterior and work on the inside. So I think that that's probably why we're getting a lot of paint questions right now, because a lot of people are focused on painting their homes.
Keep them coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perfect time.
So our next question has to do with the best product to seal interior brick wall, please.
Again, I'd go with the Zinsser 123 latex primer is what I would use.
That Zinsser,
Is that
Zinsser is a good product. I tell you, I use it as well. I agree with you. It's a good product.
And with that being said, Paul, just because it's kind of somewhat related, if you have somewhat, water moisture issues, because I have some brick in my downstairs garage that's more of a daylight basement, so there is some moisture. Is there any specific product you would recommend at that point?
Yeah, I'd use like a Loxon or something like that. If it's kind of, is it below grade? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and I have used Loxon.
Yeah, that's what I would use for that. We don't have a lot of basements here in Florida. A few, but not many.
Yep.
Okay. That's right. A lot of the homes are sitting on pads, right?
Yeah, concrete pads. Yeah.
Okay, we've got another question here. How to remove thick Artex and fillers of a wall from previous tenant and get wall smooth again, please. You do a lot of skim coating there, Paul. What say you?
Yeah, that's what I would do is I just skim coat right over it. I've got a couple videos with a trick that you can use a paint roller and a heavy nap, like a 3/4 inch or 1 inch roller cover, and roll the joint compound on and then smooth it out with your drywall knife or trowel, whatever you use. So that's what I'd recommend. Just skim coat over it.
Paul's got a lot of videos showing you that technique, and it's a smart technique, folks.
Oh, it keeps it.
I watched that video and I was like, I have not tried this before, but I have to try this. It looks super slick.
And it's a good way to keep your joint compound consistent. So when you smooth it down, it's not going to be like heavy in one spot and then, bumps or anything. You can get it really consistent. And so it's a great DIY trick for sure.
Love it.
Okay, Jason Simpson, he asks, is there a special type of paint that has to be used to paint metal fascia coverings?
Nope. Most exterior latex paints, if it's a raw material, you might need to prime it with a clear coat of primer, but usually you can just paint right over the metal like that with a regular latex exterior paint.
Okay, hey folks, I want to remind folks to use the hashtag because it makes it really, really easy for me to distinguish questions between just talk in the room. So if you would do that for me, I would really appreciate it. Okay,
I wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
You want to clean the surface. If you're doing outside, you should pressure wash your house before you do any painting. So when I'm saying just paint it, I'm assuming it's already a clean surface.
A lot of people forget that step. So I'm glad you mentioned it, Paul, because what do they say? A good paint job is 90% preparation.
Oh, yeah.
You can have the best paint in the world. You could have fine paints of Europe, but if you're not doing the right stuff, it's just not going to look good. Okay. Hi, Jane. I have a question. I have adhesive for cement. What is the shelf life? I had it for a couple years. I want to use it on my exterior for a new mortar and cement finish. Well, what I will tell you is a lot of those adhesives, they do have a shelf life, and they tend to be shorter than you would expect. So what I would say to you is I would call up technical support and ask them what the shelf life is on that particular product, because it's going to vary, okay, depending on what product you're using. Okay, so folks, remember to use that hashtag. And I just want to make an announcement. We've got about, it's close to last call. Last call is coming up. We only have about 10 more minutes worth of questions to take. So if you have questions for Paul or for Brent or for myself, please hashtag it and we'll try to get to it. Okay, folks? So our next question is, remember that joint tape in a bag? Has Paul or Britt used it, and what did they think? Joint
I
tape.
personally have not used that. That was the one that, what was the product name? I'm trying to remember. But I definitely want to use it in the future.
Tape in a bag?
I never heard of tape
It was the
in a
one that you
bag.
did on your channel, Leah. This was the one that the drywall product.
Are you talking about mesh tape versus paper tape?
No, it was the one that you did a video for that actually had the drywall tape in the mixture.
Oh. I don't know about that.
You know what,
one.
Paul? Listen, you should probably get a hold of him.
Yeah.
He's a. What was the name of the product, Brent? Do you remember?
I'd have to look it up, but
it was interesting. It was an interesting way of applying tape to a joint, where the material, you add the tape to the joint compound.
It's like hairs, just like
fibers.
stucco.
Okay. You pour it in. I wish I could remember what the name of that guy's product was, but I can't remember it. I can't recall.
We do that with fiberglass on just when we do stucco. We add that on the scratch coats and stuff. Keeps stuff from cracking.
Well, I think that's what his idea was. He's a painter in Canada, and he came up with the idea, instead of adding the mud to the tape, add the tape to the mud. And I tried it.
That is what it's called. It's called tape
in mud. That's what it's
tape
called. Tape in mud. The guy's name is Mike, and he's a painter in Canada.
Cool.
So what's the best route to take to cover over a clear silicone caulk that a former homeowner's applied liberally to wood window trim? I've scraped and applied silicone remover and scraped some more. I bet he has too.
I got a trick for that.
Okay.
My trick is to use a latex caulk and go right over it, let it dry, and then you can paint it and it works out fine.
That is an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Any specific latex caulk that you would recommend?
I mean, any of them. The Alex caulk. Don't go with the 99-cent caulk. Splurge and spend $3.49 on a tube of caulk is what.
Do you need DAP products? Yeah,
the DAP stuff works pretty good. Just make sure it's a paintable caulk, and then you're good to go.
Okay, folks, we're approaching the last call. Just want to say that, so get your questions in. Our next question comes from L. Burke. He says, I have a knockdown and having trouble matching the texture. I got to tell you, a lot of people have that trouble,
Yeah,
I've been using a 3M patch plus primer and bunching it up and pushing it down. Looks bad. Any suggestions?
Yeah. Get the knockdown texture sponge.
There you go. There you go.
No, right. Really.
And maybe we should take this time to talk about how folks can get in on the happy hour. If you're just joining us, we have happy hour special every live stream we do. Paul, and thanks to Paul, Paul is providing the happy hour special, which is his special knockdown texture sponge. And there you go. So Brent, what do people have to do to get in on the happy hour special?
Yes, thank you, Leah. So to get in on the happy hour special, anyone and everyone can apply for it, but you have to leave a comment in the description of this video, not the little line of individuals that are talking virtually live right now. Make sure you leave some type of comment in the description of the comment section. That you will be automatically entered into winning not one, not two, but 3 sponges that we're going to be giving away. We are going to be giving away 3 of the knockdown texture sponges.
So it's going to be 3 different people, 3 separate winners, correct?
Yes.
Not one person winning 3 sponges. Okay.
That would be just too ridiculous.
All right. Hey, Brent, do you want to mention who was last week's winner, just in case you're just now joining us?
Yes. So please, if you're just now joining us, know that Steve Michael is the winner of last week's giveaway, which is a welding mask and gloves. So please email me at byotools@gmail.com. If not, I will also reach out to you, but please try and reach out to me first, and we will make sure you get your products as quick as possible.
Okay. We're just going to take a couple more questions here, folks. So I'm not certain I understand this question. It says a good question. Should she fill a small hole in current caulking with a dab, or does she need to redo it all? There must have been an issue with the existing caulk that you ran, and there's a small hole.
I'd just fill that hole. That's what I do.
Okay.
But you fill it and then just kind of wipe it with your finger and see what happens. It might just have been a pocket of air that got trapped, and then it off-gassed as it was drying and just kind of popped it.
Yep.
Okay, do you recommend Command 3M picture hanging strips to hang pictures? I guess it's hang pictures. You know, there's so many different systems out there, and there's a few I personally like. I've used the Command 3, and they're fine. I've used the Command 3, but I don't know if I would use it to hang pictures. I used it to hang Christmas decorations. But pictures that are going to remain on the wall, I've used other systems. What about you guys?
For leveling purposes, I love a laser level. I don't know if I've ever seen the Command 3, but I know personally, especially if I'm trying to align multiple pictures up in the same
I don't think they're asking about leveling. I just think they're asking about the application.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And again, you know, there's so many different systems out there, and that system is a fine one. I've used it. I like it, but I haven't used it for pictures. I've used it for like Christmas decorations.
I'd read the specs on it and see what the weight specs are for that. And if it's not too big of a painting, or it weighs, 2 pounds and it says you can hang 10 pounds, then I'd go for it. But I just follow the directions of the command strip.
And that's not such a bad idea, because there's a load on that as well. You have to be concerned with the load of what you're hanging.
Oh yeah.
So Patrick, check it out, Patrick. I am having a beer for happy hour. And what are you having, Brent? What do you got next up there, Paul?
It's a beverage.
Water.
You know what? Let me tell you something. This beer that I purchased, it gets back to what I was saying about now that I'm kind of in lockdown. I'm doing stuff that I didn't do before. I haven't drank a beer in 2 years. Okay. No, wait a second. That's not entirely true. I think it's been about 1.5 years since I had a beer. But I was walking through the supermarket last week, and I was trying to load up with a lot of stuff so I wouldn't have to go to the supermarket again. And there was a 6-pack of beer. It was calling my name. And so I couldn't resist. So that's the name of that.
That's a happy hour question right there.
Okay, this is what I want to say, folks. I just want to remind people, if you're just now joining the happy hour, I want to thank Paul for joining us. I also want to tell you that next week we have who do we have next week?
John.
Brent?
Isn't John Peters?
John Peters is at the end of the month. But next week we have, come on, help me out here.
Jimmy DeResta?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Jimmy DeResta is next week. And if you don't know Jimmy, check out his channel. He's a maker, and he's an incredible maker. Just like I would strongly suggest that you check out Paul Peck's channel. I'm going to place it in the link below the video. He's a heck of a drywaller, skimmer, and painter in his own right. Okay.
Thank you.
And then of course, my buddy there, Brent, he mentioned John Peters. He's going to be joining us at the end of the month. He's a furniture maker. Brent, of course, is with Bring Your Own Tools. He's my co-host here on the Seejanedrill Happy Hour. Before I go, I just want to ask Brent, and I want to ask you, Paul, how would you like people who are watching the live stream to follow you on Twitter, on Facebook? How would you like to be followed? Paul?
Go ahead, Paul. You
okay.
take care of us first.
Of course, my YouTube channel I'm on Twitter under Peck Drywall. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I got a Facebook group. I've got a link to that group in most of my video descriptions. When we get off of this live stream, I'll post a link in because the good thing about Facebook, if you have a group, people can post pictures and you can answer questions that way, because you can't really do that on YouTube, unfortunately, other than talk about it. You can't really see. And a lot of times when you're trying to match a texture or solve a problem for someone, picture's worth 1,000 words. So I'll throw a link to the group in the chat.
Okay. How about you, Brent? What do you say, buddy? How you want people to
I'm easy. So basically anything and everything is BYOT tools. So
okay.
Whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all BYOT tools. So if you'd like to follow me and see what's coming up next on Instagram, feel free to do so. Or obviously I'm also presenting weekly content on my channel right now. Hopefully that continues, but as of right now, I'm dedicated to putting out quality weekly content.
All right. Hey, Brent, thanks for joining us as always. And
Thanks
Paul, thank you so much for being on the live stream. And I just want to thank everybody that joined us today. And I want to say, be safe out there. And I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Brent. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.